Sponsored by JMR Rentals, jmrny.com.
Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program, I'll be speaking with the director and two of the stars from the new feature film, The Mental State. But first, here's a clip from the film.
Everyone inside, come on! We need to get inside, come on. Go get inside! My hands, sweetie. Everyone get inside now!
Scene seems to be clear. Heading back for witness statements.
Okay, so you heard the shot. You get a look at the shooter?
No. But Andy saw him.
He did?
Yeah, well, he said he did.
All right, you're free to go, Miss Forrest, but I'd prefer...
And now, here's my interview with director James Camali and actors Alison Thornton and William Moses. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thanks for doing this. I know, thank you for making me a part of your junket. I always appreciate it. And I did get a chance to see the movie, and, you know, congratulations, guys. You made a hell of a film, and I was really excited to talk to you about it. Before we get too deep into things, can you just give me, like, a little bit about the film and kind of how it came about? James, I'll look to you for that.
It's kind of hard to talk about and the inception of it without going too deep into the what happens with it. I will say that I feel comfortable kind of talking a little bit about where it goes, a tiny bit, I'll say that, I grew up in a post-Columbine world, and I saw that a lot as a kid. It was just strange to be rehearsing exit strategies and doing lockdown drills and having that vague paranoia growing up as a kid. And then, when Sandy Hook happened, I was kind of coming of age as an adult at that time. And it was something that really stuck with me. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, who's Remington Moses, who plays the counselor in it, who's also William's daughter. So a lot of family stuff going on, but it was her old high school drama teacher who wrote the play, The Mental State, originally, and just starting to think about those themes and mental health and a lot of things. I read the play, and it just had so many of the themes and family dynamics that I was looking for in a story like this. I met with Josh. We talked about adapting it, and we were on the same level with the intention of this piece the whole time. So that's the come abouts of it.
You have some difficult subject matter in this piece. This is not easy stuff. It's not easy for audiences, and I can also imagine it's not easy to direct and act either. So what was there a way in for you guys as actors and for you, James, as a director, to kind of get into this material?
A way in for me was just through the script. It's so heartfelt, and it's so deep, and there's so much, and everybody on set was just so passionate about the material, and we had a really lovely and supportive environment on set as well. So doing those sequences, I mean, they were intense to act, but we also, James really fostered so much trust between all of us, between the cast and the crew, and everybody was very empathetic to the situation, and people were so just invested in telling as honest of a story as we could. And then after some of the more intense sequences, I mean, the cast, we got along so well. We would just hang out after work and go get food, or we'd go to someone's hotel room and watch a movie and just try to shake it off. And it was, I mean, despite how dark the material is, it was actually a very positive experience to film.
I mean, you guys are doing this as on an indie budget, I'm assuming. You know, is it like intense? Are you guys, how many days are you shooting this thing? Is it like a 28-day shoot?
Yeah, we shot for we shot for about that time, for about 28 days. We had a couple of pickups and reshoots and stuff. I think William, out of all of that, I think was on 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
And Alison, along with the rest of the most of the main cast was there for like the entire shoot, just the way that scheduling scenes worked out. You know, so it was really interesting to go through this experience for that many days. You know, not to say that's a long or short amount of days, but you know, it's a good amount of time to be spending with a lot of people going through this story specifically.
Was there a rehearsal process involved? Did you guys, because it was a play, right? So did you approach it like a play?
I wish we had, you know, when it comes to budget, that's the sort of stuff where, like, especially in the indie film world and casting and dealing with all of the business ends of everything, and because the approach to rehearsing for film is not the same as a play, the discussions of trying to rehearse for a long time beforehand for indie films doesn't always get to happen. So we actually didn't have a lot of rehearsal time. And in fact, William was kind of cast in the process of us already shooting because of how some things worked out. And, you know, when they came to set, it was a matter of, you know, kind of having as much of the discussions that we needed to have once we got to set. I know with like the main cast, they kind of came in a couple days before production started. And we would sit down. I think I had a day where I blocked out the entire day, you know, from like 8 a.m. until we all had to go to sleep, to spend like an hour or two with each of the cast members that were there at that time. There was probably about eight to 10 people who were around to just kind of talk about their characters and the stories and scenes and work it all out that way. And then, you know, I was very fortunate to work with William, who's just such a professional, who's just a great actor in any situation you put him in, that he came in, he also had some familiarity with the material beforehand, just from our personal relationship and, you know, him kind of reading previous drafts, and was just blessed to have him come on and just come in, deliver like a true professional. And then, yeah.
For the actors, like, what were some of the challenges of these roles? Because like, William, you play this high school principal, and all I kept thinking was, man, this guy looks like a high school principal.
The idea, generally speaking.
Oh.
You know, what was it like? You know, I think you know, what it's like is you know, there are two things that I knew coming into it, which was I had been involved with James giving feedback on several drafts of the script, knew Josh Adele. James is my son-in-law. So we had been chatting about the movie in the development process for some time. There was need for me to come and help out, and I was very, very happy to come and help out. The reasons that it's exciting to do something like this, which is a story like this, is, as you said, it is really topical. It's really topical without giving away too much. It's an in the headlines type of story. And then beyond that, you know, it does something that is not commonly done and not seen or really understood in more mainstream. This is the perfect venue. Independent film is the perfect venue to shine a light on something you otherwise wouldn't be able to shine a light on. So that was very exciting. The coming into it, you know, which is they were midstream, you know, which is you know, work with the dialogue coach on the acting, and then show up. And the crew and the cast had been together. And if you never worked on an independent film, you know, as you get further into it, Usually the schedule, is an idea, and you get behind. So the days get longer, and everybody's more tired. It's like the fog of war, but within that fog of war, particularly for younger actors and for everybody and newer filmmakers, there's no time left for any kind of vanity. It's only about the project. So you're instantly in the world the minute you walk on the set, because everybody's carrying that, and they don't have energy for much else, so the world pretty instantly, and then you get to watch, you get to partake in the pleasures of independent film. And the pleasures of independent film in particular are such strong dedication to craft and process, which is industry-wide. You get that, but oftentimes you don't get that, because it's like it's 8:30 and it's time to shoot, and we got to be out of here by 9, and whatever we get, and it's a procedural, and it's a genre, and it's whatever. Independent is more story driven, more character driven, more actor friendly, because the actor, in my opinion, is in these circumstances, the actor really is important, and what the actor brings to it is important. And that's just, you don't always get that, and it's very valuable to young performers, and it's valuable to someone like me who's been around for a long time, because that's why you got into it in the first place, so that's exciting, and to bathe in that, and it is reminiscent of a time for me when independent film was such sort of really, really thriving, and that would be back to when the Sundance festivals first started opening up. Independent film found a spotlight and became celebrated, and then it evolved. Now Disney premieres their movies they call it's a $25 million film, and they call it independent. It's like that's not really this. This is more in something that I had known in a particular time in my career.
Alison, particularly, you had some really difficult scenes, in my opinion. Like, you have some of these scenes that are very intense. Were you apprehensive at all about some of these intimate scenes and things that you had to do?
No, I love a challenge, especially as an actor. Like, my favorite type of scenes to act are the dark scenes. I don't know why, but I find them so satisfying. And especially for a story like this, I just was so excited to get on board, because the story felt so important, and I felt like I was acting for a reason, and for a good reason, that is. And I mean, the environment on set was so lovely, and everybody was so just willing to support each other. So those scenes actually weren't that challenging for me. Just given the script, all of the information that I needed was right there. I don't think that anybody would find it difficult to have an emotional reaction to this story. And so I felt, as the actor, my work was already done for me. All I had to do was say the lines, and then the circumstance is just heartbreaking enough. So, I mean, no, I don't really hesitate towards this heavier material. I find it really rewarding, actually.
Jance Enslin is the lead in this, and he's very, very good. And a lot of the film is from his perspective, and you're with him a lot. James, I imagine that 90% of your time is dealing with him and what he's going through. Was there a challenge in trying to say, how do we make this real? I think part of the problem with guys like my age, when it comes to, if you're trying to write a script like this, everybody sounds like a 40-year-old trying to write teenage dialogue, and that doesn't happen here. Did you guys, were these guys improving and things like that? Were you guys riffing off of each other, or is everything to the letter?
No, I mean, I'm very open to collaboration and improv. I think a lot of people have different definitions of improv on set, as far as throwing out words here or there, but I'm very open to working with, ultimately, writers can write as well as they can, and a director can request something as a vision as much as they can, but the actors are there saying the words. And if it doesn't feel right coming out, then perhaps they're the ones who are most likely going to have the best idea of how to adjust that. Not to ask the actors to write, but in terms of they can feel out a natural language out of what their character is trying to say. And so on set, I tried to always stay open and collaborative to adjustments like that. As far as working with Jance, I mean, he and the other young actors, the youngest actors, like he and the kids, they're older now, but they were even younger then when we shot a few years ago. They just had all of them had such an unbelievable maturity to be able to step into these roles that are dealing with this sensitive subject matter and a topic that's been affecting me through my childhood, that I'm sure affected them through their childhoods growing up in the States. Allison's a little different growing up in Canada. Not so much crazy nonsense like this going on up there, or wild nonsense, but it's been it was really just a testament to their maturity as actors to be able to step into these roles, do that, and have the collaborative mindset to say, hey, this line's not really feeling right, can we work on this a little bit, can we work, and when it comes to rehearsals on set, we don't get to really have the full rehearsal process of a play, but at least shot by shot you get to have rehearsals of scenes and shots, and get a chance to get those lines out and make adjustments and tweaks. So just really blessed by the entire cast, and dealing with Jance, I mean, he was, I think it's easy to see a role like this and maybe go right to like a method actor like a Joaquin or one of them, or Daniel Day-Lewis, and might assume, oh, on set, what were they like on set? Jance was just fantastic. He turned it on when it needs to be turned on, and then turned it off fairly well. He's a funny guy, and he has his personality, but it wasn't like leaking in any way that I saw. Maybe Alison and William have a different experience, but that's what I saw. So.
I agree with you, James, fully. He was very professional, and he was incredibly cast. I think he was so present as an actor and just a dream to work with.
At one point in the film, there's an active shooter drill in the school, and I didn't grow up with that. That wasn't something that was part of my consciousness, and it's definitely something that I would imagine would inform anybody who grew up in that, and I just like wondering, were the kids, were they drawing on their experience in terms of these types of, like that type of thing?
I'm sure, in the moment, I think everybody has their own acting techniques and exercises that they use to put themselves in the moment. I mean, was really lucky to work with the school that allowed us to shoot something like this there, and as well as the extras who were in, it takes place in Kentucky, but we shot in Syracuse, and the extras who were down to like do this sort of stuff, because it's a weird thing to ask a lot of people, especially like extras don't really get to read the scripts often. So they're just being thrown into set on these days, into these scenarios, and being asked to perform these things. And I'm sure a lot of them were like, wait a second, what are we what are we performing today? We're trying to do what? And we were lucky to just, I don't know, I'm just very lucky that everybody who worked on this was ready to handle this sort of work.
Maybe one of the challenges for you guys, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is how do we interject how do we make this entertaining? How do we make this not a film that's a eat your vegetables, it's good for you type of thing? Was there an air of like, how do we keep this? Because there is a lot of like thriller suspense stuff happening in it. Was there a need? Did you feel like, oh, we got to sort of wrap this material in some sort of a genre in order to, make the pill go down smoother type of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing that's, that's the fun of movies, but also the thing that's tough when you're trying to put a story like this out there. And I think for anybody who puts out great stories like that, that's always the hard thing to do, of like, how do we entertain while we're telling this story? And I think using Andy's perspective, even though it's kind of been done a few times in film, to use the genre that his perspective could give us, being that thriller and the paranoia and suspense, was a way for us to hook our audience in and start them off on that journey. And then that makes the sort of perspective change more, I think, more impactful. I hope, right? I've just been working on it. I can't be an audience member, but more impactful because it was like, oh, wait, I thought we were on this thriller genre pick. No. This is a family drama. And then you really get the emotional impact by the end. So yeah, I mean, totally. You got to entertain the audience.
Have you seen this? Have you guys had the chance to see this with an audience yet?
It was one of the proudest moments of my career, probably, because I saw it at Newport Beach. And we had probably, what was it, like a 30-minute conversation with the audience after, and people were sharing their own experiences and saying how touched they were by the content. And we just had this amazing conversation about mental health resources in the US and even globally. And that for me was by far the most rewarding part of this entire experience, was just seeing how affected people were, and the fact that people were connected to the movie. Just, I mean, it was amazing. And I'm so excited for it to come out and for it to reach more people, because I really think that it's going to touch on a lot of people's experiences, whether they know someone who has experienced this, whether they've experienced this themselves. I mean, one of my favorite themes of the movie is the fact that this doesn't just affect the person who's suffering from it. Mental health issues affect everyone, whether it's a friend, a family member, someone in your community. So yeah, it was amazing watching it with an audience.
By the time this airs, it should be out on VOD. But are you guys still looking to festivals? Is there a theatrical run at all planned?
No, unfortunately, but at the same time, I think it is something that is great that everybody can get it at home in a easy way. And I think it's great to watch with an audience, but it's also a very intimate film and something that can be watched at home well and feel the intimacy of at home as well. So I'm excited for everyone to see it.
I hope people do see it, and I hope it does get out there, and maybe you guys can get on another streaming service and things like that. But it's coming out through Gravitas Ventures. It drops on the 19th. And for people who want to find out more about the movie, you guys have a website or anything like that you can tell?
You can go to thementalstatefilm.com, and that will bring you to all of the fun stuff relating to the mental state. As far as you'll get the trailer, you get to see the poster, you get to see some other information about where it's going to be released. And yeah.
Do you guys have anything burgeoning that we should know about? Any other projects before I let you go?
Yeah, you can see me in School Spirits. It just dropped on American Netflix. I have a movie called What Comes Next that will be coming out in 2025, as well as Wild Cards, which you can watch on the CW.
And where can we find all you guys on social media, online, if people want to stalk you, possibly hire you for future jobs, things like that?
William, you could start.
Well, I have no social media presence, so you can find me through James, I suspect, but if that works.
Yeah.
What about you, Alison?
My Instagram handle is ali.g.thornton.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. And we'll be glad to have you back on your next project. Thanks so much. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
And that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. Now, this is going to be our last episode for 2023, but we'll be back again next year, starting January 17th. There's a lot of great content still on the website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. Once again, I'd like to thank my guests, James Camali, Alison Thornton, and William Moses, and our sponsor, JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.